Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Cooking for Wellness with COUG. We're very happy to be able to partnership with the Central Ohio Urology Group. In the community kitchen tonight is Chef Jason Johnson, and my name's Darlene. I'm the program manager with Cancer Support Community Central Ohio. Tonight, Chef is going to be focusing on grapes are for more than just wine. Grapes are for more than just wine. And the three recipes he's going to be doing is roasted chicken with grapes and shallots, golden beet and grape salad, and peanut butter and grape jelly cups. So which recipe are you going to start with first, Chef?
We're going to start with our chicken and roasted grape entree. And the good thing about this is, we talk about the theme throughout this will be grapes. Most people just look at them as your typical fruit, a snack, maybe, in a fruit medley, so forth and so on. But actually roasting them, and matter of fact, roasting anything brings out more of the natural sweetness in it. So roasting these with this chicken is going to give you a really great flavor. It's going to have a sweet little tartness, depending on the grapes. I have two varieties here today. I have your black seedless grapes and red seedless grapes. So you're going to have like a nice little sweet, because what's going to happen is that once these roast, they're going to burst, and it's going to kind of almost be like a jamminess. So it in a sense will become a really great complement to the chicken that you can do and prepare anyway, any type of format, and it's an easy application. I got a whole chicken here, and I'm gonna do a technique to show you how you can use this whole chicken and make a really nice meal. Even if it's dinner for two, it could be for a couple of nights, or if it's dinner for four, it'd be a great dinner for that evening. We're going to spatchcock this, which means it's going to make it easier and quicker to be able to cook it evenly. When I was growing up, I was just telling somebody this story actually. The reason I learned how to cook was because my mom, when I was in middle school, I think it was, would thaw out a whole chicken in the refrigerator. And then when I got home from school, she'd say, now clean that chicken and cook that and roast it off for dinner tonight. Now, the first time I had never done it before, and it was kind of really a lot of trial and error. And then it seemed like I felt I must have done okay, because it felt like I was doing roasted chicken every other night. So, and then of course, by the time I get to culinary school to be able to learn how to break down chickens, I feel like I had already had a heads up. But this is a way, spatchcocking it, instead of putting it in your oven like this, it takes a little bit longer because you have to, all parts of it to cook, and everything cooks at a different rate. But when you spatchcock it, in a sense, we take out the backbone so that we can lay it flat. That allows everything to cook evenly in that aspect. So we're going to take our backbone, and we're just going to cut. I have a knife, what we call a boning knife. So I'm going to take it, and you can take some kitchen shears, some not just your regular scissors, but some kitchen shears, because they're strong enough to be able to do that. You can take those and actually cut down both sides of that neck bone and that backbone. So I'm going to take my boning knife, and I'm able to just cut right down that backbone, and that's going to open up this cavity, but it's going to open up so that we can lay this flat.
Now, Chef, are you cutting alongside the backbone or right down
I'm
the
cutting.
middle?
I'm cutting alongside both ends of the backbone, and you should be able, especially if you have a sharp knife or those kitchen shears, it literally will go right through there. So it won't take a whole lot of effort at all. If you notice, if you guys can see, this is the backbone. So I've already cut one part. This is the other side of that backbone, and I'm just taking my knife straight down. It went straight down. Here's the backbone. Here's the spine. Now we've got that out. So now my chicken is wide open. This is the back. You notice I have my cutting board here, have a different cutting so that I don't contaminate, cross-contaminate. So we have this yellow mat here so that we can properly prep our chicken. Now I'm just going to take the heel of my hand and I'm just going to break the breastbone. That allows this to be able to lay flat on your sheet tray. Boom. So now this is what we call spatchcock. I'm going to take back my wing tips. Makes it look like it's just laying there with its hands above its head. So now it's all nice and even and it's laying flat. That's what removing that backbone does. Now this makes it easier to be able to season it really well, so forth and so on, and then get a nice even cook in the oven. And so we're just going to season this easily with a little salt, pepper, some olive oil. And make sure you get the inside cavity also, because that's also where flavor is at too. So you know, even though there's maybe little bones and stuff there, you want to make sure you're able to still season even the inside of that, because as this cooks, all that is going to be able to permeate through. So salt and pepper the whole thing. If you want to add any other seasonings or spices, you most definitely can. So, some garlic, some onion powder, so forth and so on. We're going to have some fresh thyme that's going to cook through with this too. So you can definitely use thyme. If you want to use any other type of fresh herbs, you can most definitely do that too. Now, a good tip also, if you want that nice crisp skin, and forgive me because I actually missed that step, but take your paper towel and blot your skin dry as you can. Then apply your olive oil and your seasoning. I always also add just a little bit of cornstarch or baking powder, because that helps to draw out any moisture and it makes your skin really nice and crisp. So, a little secret inside tip.
So Chef, when you said a little bit, you're probably just sprinkling it on.
Yes, just sprinkling it on. I mean, make sure it's nice and it's even across your whole bird. Don't be afraid of it, because it's a whole chicken. So, you may think it's a lot, but you're making sure that you're seasoning the whole thing. All right. I don't know what we want to call our chicken, but he's nice, and we have our lined baking sheet. We'll stick them on there. I don't know if you guys can see.
Looks great. I was worried about never having done this technique. I was worried that the breast would be still too thick, but it looked just slightly higher than the drumsticks. So
yeah, we got him on there.
What was that last seasoning you were spreading?
Just a little dry. It was just a little dry time. Just a little bit of dry. Just a little dry time. And then I got some fresh thyme here. I'm going to just we'll just put sporadically around our chicken and on the tray. And we got some shallots. If you don't have any shallots, don't worry about it. If you have some onion or red onion, preferably red onion. Red onions are a little sweeter than your yellow onions. Your yellow or white onions are usually a little bit stronger. So, I think the red onions will go good with the grapes. So if you have red onion, go with red onion. If not, if you got shallot, use the shallot. We'll just, doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going to get some nice rings of shallot here, around here, because now that's all layering our flavor on this bird. So this is an easy weeknight dinner, even if you want to make it earlier in the day. Got my oven set for 400, so a nice roast. It should take no time. Dinner will be served. We got some shallots. Do a little bit more because I like shallots. And then you can serve this with, you know, anything. Like right off the top of my head, a nice mashed cauliflower would go great with this. All right. And these are all different things that are adding flavor to this. So that's why I have some on the chicken, because as they cook and roast those shallots, that's gonna flavor the chicken. And then around it, and we'll take some of our little clusters of grapes. And I'm not picking these off one by one. We're gonna add like little clusters because, you know, even once you serve these, you know, you'll have these little, what I call little jewels of grapes that you can serve with once you serve it to your guests.
Yeah, it looks like those are the seedless red grapes.
Yes, they are. So we're just adding a couple around. And then we'll take some of our black grapes, black seedless grapes. Since I'm not the dietitian, I can't answer if there's any variation of nutritional value between the red grapes and the black grapes, or if we use green grapes. I don't know. And you could use green, you could use your green grapes also with this. That won't hurt. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it says that the difference between red grape, they being internet search, that the greatest difference between the black and the red grapes is that black grapes contain greater amounts of the antioxidant compound called flavonoids.
Yep.
This is the reason for their darker color and for their sweeter taste.
Yep. I was going to say the only one of the biggest things is that they're just going to be sweeter. And I think I mentioned that in the beginning. They're going to be sweet. And of course, anything that's like a dark, like in your purples, things like that, they have, we all know they have anthocyanins that are antioxidant that's very beneficial to the body. All right.
Part of that eating the rainbow.
Now, this is a work of art already.
Oh, yeah.
So it's all nice.
I noticed, Jason,
Huh?
you didn't pack underneath. You did not do any seasoning or grape underneath. Is that okay?
Yes, it's
underneath.
okay.
Underneath. Okay.
Underneath our chicken.
Yeah.
And when you're doing this, when you're doing this, you can definitely add some underneath if you want, like that the chicken is resting on a bed of the grapes. Either way, you know, you'll get really great flavor as these roast and burst. And coupled with this thyme, really going to give you a more savory type of, like I said, we're used to grapes being like a nice little snack or dessert or whatever, but this is a nice savory application that'll really go a good ways. I'm going to do something here. I don't know if it's in the recipe or not, but
It's not.
It's not. I'm just going to add a couple slices of lemon.
I've used celery and rosemary before.
Rosemary would be good with this also.
So the juice as well as just some of the whole lemon, the lemon slices.
Yeah. just adding layers of flavor. That was for free.
Well, I found that grapes are a rich source of vitamin C and K and vitamins of the B group. And they're excellent sources of calcium, phosphorus, potassium, and magnesium. So not only are they tasty, but they're definitely good for you.
Most definitely. All right, so while we got that roasting at 400 degrees, that whole chicken probably will start off about 25, 30 minutes. So won't take long, especially since we spatch cooked it. We'll start with our next recipe, which should be fun. And this is where you can get kids involved. You got a nice dessert and you don't have to feel bad about it. But if you're anything like my son, who could eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich all day, every day, then this is good. So matter of fact, I'll probably have to do this at home to give him another way to eat peanut butter and jelly instead of on bread. So this is a nice dessert and another way that we can use grapes. So we're using some Concord grape jelly. The one thing you want to do, even in this recipe, and even as I was looking, make sure, I wish I had the jar, look at the ingredients. We say this about a lot of the things you do. If you're using a jelly or jam, you'll be surprised at what you'll see if you don't look at it and see if it's natural. This Concord jam, if you're not making your own, let me see if I can find the jar. It's from Welch's, but it's natural. And let me tell you what the ingredients are. Concord grapes, sugar, lemon juice. That's it. You look at any of the other jars of jelly or things of that nature, you'll be surprised at what you'll find on the label. So you want something that where you, if you're reading the ingredients, to be honest, less is more. So the less, the shorter that list is, probably the better that whatever it is that you're getting is, because it probably has more natural ingredients than a bunch of other stuff. Like I said, I was quite surprised when I looked at some of them, because I was just like, I don't even know what that is, and that makes up jelly. So to be able to see that this here literally just has those nice natural ingredients: grapes, sugar, lemon juice.
Now you can probably use any jam or jelly or preserve for this. You could use strawberry, raspberry, anything like that.
You can definitely use any preserve that you may have. I use grape because we're highlighting grapes today.
Sure.
I personally am a strawberry preserve fan. So growing up though, my mom, that's all she had in the house was grape jelly. And I actually couldn't stand it. and until I would go over to my grandmother's house, and I always felt like my grandmother was fancy because she had the strawberry preserves or apple jam and all those type of things.
And we had a grape arbor when I was growing up, so we made our own grape jam jelly.
I thought I'd heard you mention and talk about that before. So the easy thing about this is I have these little mini baking cups. You can get them anywhere in the baking section of the grocery store. And they're the foil ones. But this is almost going to be like a little, what do you call it, Reese cup without the chocolate. So, and if you have a mini baking tin, you can definitely use those. These are a little bit larger than the holes in here. So I can, because these foil liners are nice and sturdy, I can just put it on this sheet tray and they'll still hold up just fine. So if anybody's wondering why I am not using the muffin tin, that's why. So we have our natural peanut butter. Once again, just like the jam, look at the ingredients because there's a lot of them. They even say natural or this or that, no sugar, but they have a bunch of other stuff in there. This peanut butter, once again, I think it was Giant Eagle brand, natural peanut butter, organic peanut butter. And the only ingredients are roasted peanuts. And I think that was it, roasted peanuts. So that's as natural as you can get. Some of them say roasted peanuts, sugar, salt, all that kind of stuff. I didn't want anything extra in here because then we wanted to be able to control either the sweetness or anything like that. So there was literally one ingredient.
I've had natural peanut butter before, and how I stored it was upside down because of there's oils that layer of oil. So I figured if I turn the jar upside down, the oil's at the top, and then when I turn it right side up to unscrew it, oil kind of comes up versus there being a big puddle right at the very top.
That's smart. All right, so I have some coconut oil. And you want to make sure you have the refined coconut oil because you want to, the unrefined is the kind that is more of your natural coconut oil. So it has that coconut flavor. The refined does not have that coconut flavor. And we're going to add that to our peanut butter. Keeps it nice and loose. So I can stir it all together.
Did you use coconut cream or
Coconut oil.
milk?
Coconut
or oil?
Yep, coconut oil. All right, so we're just gonna take, I'm gonna take a little bit, take our spoon here, nice and we're just gonna put that right there in the nice at the bottom of the muffin tin. Like I said, it's almost like we're making little Reese cups. And this is something like we said, you know, we always talk about, get the kids or the grandkids involved. Definitely gonna do this with mine so they can do their own little snacks and treats.
Can you use almond butter instead?
Yes, you can definitely use almond butter. So any natural butter, cashew butter would be great. Ooh, you know what would be great? Cashew butter with the strawberry preserves. Oh. So we have that in there in the bottom of our tin. And that was like a tablespoon or so, fit really nicely in the bottom of these foil tins because we just only wanted to go about a quarter way up because we're going to, in a sense, layer this. So after we do that, we got it in there and you basically will freeze this. So you'll put it in the freezer for about 10 to 15 minutes, just depends on your freezer. So if you want to use like your baking muffin tins to have these down in there to secure it, depending on how much stuff you have in your freezer, do that. So you put this in there for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then once we bring it out, then we'll add our jelly as a second layer on our solidified peanut butter. And then we'll add another layer of peanut butter on there and freeze it. And then you'll be able to pull those out as a nice treat. So while these are in the freezer, we'll come back and check those out here in just a little while. We'll let those hang out. So our jelly, we don't have to do anything to it. Like I said, especially because it's nice and It's nice and natural. You don't have to do anything to it. Just stir it up a little bit. So when that sets, we'll take a dollop of that, put it on top, freeze it, and then a layer of peanut butter on there. So this is something, of course, you can do a day ahead or whenever you think you might want to do this for your kids and for their snack. All right. Let's see what's going on with our chicken. Ooh. Oh, wow. So it's nice and roasting, and it smells wonderful. Like as those grapes begin to roast and they begin to burst, you can smell that the sweetness of that coming out. All right.
Can you
Sorry.
use turkey also instead of chicken?
Yes, if you want to do if you want to do that with a whole turkey, you most definitely can.
How about duck?
Any poultry. You can even do it if you like a pork loin. You can do it with that too. All right. Our next recipe is a nice, what I call a nice salad, summer salad per se, with golden beets and grapes. You would probably rarely hear like, grapes in a salad. Yeah. Once again, they're going to lend to the sweetness to it. We got our nice golden beet here. And I think I've said this before. We're using golden beets because they do have a little bit more sweetness than, they're not as earthy as your regular red beet. And so in this application, that's why we're using a golden beet, because they're going to have lend a little bit more sweetness and less earthiness. They're beet, so they will still have some earthiness, but not as strong as your red beet. So
Yeah, it's saying that the gold beets are richer with vitamin C benefits, vitamin A, potassium, flavonoids, and the lycopene. And it says that the texture and taste are similar to a carrot, which makes them an excellent source of beta carotene. I'm not too sure about that, but that's what Dr. Health Benefits is saying.
Put you in the mind of a carrot. I don't know about that.
But yeah, definitely with the beta carotene with the color of the beet.
Yes. So I'm just peeling the outside, because then we're going to shred this. I mean, if you want to, what do we call, chunk it and don't want to shred it. But I think, one thing about food and food application, it's really about, you eat with your eyes. And so a lot of times, a lot of reasons that the way we do food, and if you'll notice, even when we're doing these classes, these demos, we give you options, because it just depends on what will stimulate you, not just once you taste, but before you taste. It's actually a reaction that occurs in the brain that happens before you even put the food to your mouth. So it gets the taste buds going and things of that nature. So even looking at it, how it looks, colors, vibrancy, shapes, things of that nature, how it's presented, how it's layered, those different things matter. We're going to shred this. Like I said, if you want to just chunk it, you can cut it into chunks. Have my little mini shredder, or if you want to take and you can cut a couple of pieces and put it in a food processor, you can definitely do that. Put it in a food processor, make it a lot easier. Kind of pulse it just to kind of get your shreds or small pieces or so. Or the good old fashioned way with a handy hand shredder. And I'm using the largest holes because, like I said, we want to create texture, we want to create visual appeal, all of that kind of stuff. So we'll have this those nice long
say, I've had beets on a salad before, but that's one of my favorite ways of having beets, but I've always had just the red ones. So I'm very interested in seeing what the gold beet would taste like. Because the only other time I've had a golden beet was when you had made them with a soup.
That soup, the golden
yeah.
beet and peach soup.
Well, one advantage too of the golden beets is you don't get discoloration in your hand. The red one gives you a free color.
Yeah, that red beet, you're gonna stain everything in its path. See, I love the way that looks, and even with that being shredded.
It has such a vibrant color to it, even
Yeah.
just on the camera.
And so, and that, wakes up the taste buds, that wakes up the appetite in a sense, just seeing that it does something. I'm sure there's probably a book or something like that about different colors and how it stimulates and there's a reaction that happens in the body, or what we associate certain colors with. All right, so we got beets nice and shredded. These are beautiful, actually.
Now,
No, they're
Sean,
harder to find.
I was just going to ask, are these a seasonal product?
Not really. They're just harder to find because being the golden beets, they're not as prevalent, or people don't use or know about them as much. They are hard to find. And I think if people knew about them more, then, maybe places would carry them more often.
Mhm.
I think people just are used to your red beets and the many applications of those red beets.
And I know the ones that you're using are organic, so I think that also makes a difference since they're growing in the ground. You want to be careful of what kind of things are used to grow them, so we know that this is a safe, healthier version.
Yeah. So those are nice and shredded. I love that color. And even the way that looks as a shredded, and it makes it a little bit more appetizing looking, because, most people, like I said, even using this, I don't know, it was Irene, somebody asked, can you use red beets? You can, but red beets turn off a lot of people. Darlene, you said it before that you've mostly had beets in a salad or so, and that's, anytime I've had them was roasted in a salad. Actually, at the restaurant I used to manage, we did a beet salad with, I think, goat cheese, oranges, arugula, did a citrus vinaigrette. I think we might have done some candied pecans or walnuts or pistachios. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, balance out that earthiness. So you'll usually see beets paired with some type of citrus, because it helps to balance out the earthiness of it. So we got that. I'm going to use, when we put this and assemble this all together, if you have like endive lettuce can be kind of how do I put this, spicy. It kind of is very strong, has a bitter notes to it, endive lettuce. Or we're going to use some bib lettuce. I like these nice large leaves, so you can put these down. You can have your grapes and your beets and have it dressed with the vinaigrette, put it in that leaf, and you can actually, pick it up as a nice little bite. So this, cut off the end there.
I don't think I've ever had bib lettuce.
Really, it kind of has like a buttery kind of flavor notes to it. Now, our grapes. Now, this is going in a salad. So we don't necessarily want to bite into a whole grape. That could be dangerous. So we'll cut these in half. Now, there's an easy way, and I actually forgot to bring my tube, but if you have any type of lids or anything like that that are about the same size, I do this with cherry tomatoes. If I have a lot of cherry tomatoes I need to cut at one time, or grapes, then if you have like 2 plastic lids or any type of thing like that that are about the same size, and you can kind of put one over the other, put your grapes or your cherry tomatoes in, and literally take your knife and just go straight, have to have a nice sharp knife, and literally it'll cut all of them. You apply a little pressure to the top lid that you have, and you just cut all the way through, and then that allows you to be able to cut several at one time. But since I don't, then I have to do kind of our normal method of just cutting each one in half. Make this a little bit easier to eat. And even this, we're using red grapes, but you can use whatever colors grapes that you like. They have all kinds of varieties out now. I seen a package yesterday. It was cotton candy flavored grapes.
Huh.
I haven't purchased them yet. Curiosity hasn't gotten me that far to actually purchase them to try it. But I noticed them. It did make me stop and just kind of linger a little bit and say, interesting. And then there was one that was called gumdrop.
Well, I know a trick that I learned when I was working with kids in camping, and they would take the whole grapes, especially if they were kind of coming to the end of their lifespan, and you would put them in a baggie with, the kids I worked with needed to have unsweetened crystal, so they use Crystal Light, but you can do Kool-Aid or unsweetened Kool-Aid, sugar-free Kool-Aid, and just the powder. And you would coat the grape in that powder and then put it in the freezer. And then that gave a little extra flavor to the grapes. And that's one of the ways we could get the kids to eat their fruit.
Look at all these tricks. Tricks for kids. I'm sure they didn't mind at all.
No, to them it was a fun treat, especially in a hot summer day and you're eating the frozen grapes. It was just a nice little cooling, sweet, in a healthy way treat.
All right, so we got these nice cut in half. And we'll add those to our beets, and then we'll make our vinaigrette. To the larger bowl here. For our vinaigrette, we've made vinaigrette 100 times. So we have some, instead of our vinegar, as long as we have some type of acid, so we're having citrus juice as our acid. So we have orange juice, lemon juice. Let's get the seeds out. That's not part of the, seeds are not part of the vinaigrette recipe. So lemon juice, orange juice. Remember I said most times beets are usually paired with some type of citrus. Uh-oh, a seed tried to sneak in.
But you caught him.
I caught him. Get out of there. He doesn't want to get out. There we go. Got him. All right, and then we'll take some of our shallot. Little shallot in there, mince it up, and we'll make a quick vinaigrette to go over this whole thing. We'll cut this little baby like an onion. Mince, 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 mince. All right. And then a little tarragon. I know tarragon probably, I mean, we got beets and tarragon in the same recipe. Two turnoffs because beets are earthy and then tarragon kind of reminds people of black licorice. It's one of those kind of you love or hate tarragon. It's no in between when it comes to tarragon, but it's going to pair well with the citrus and even the earthiness of the beets. Wow, as soon as I cut into that tarragon, I mean, it just was like, whew. All right, we'll add a little bit of salt, sea salt. A little bit of black pepper. And then just to balance it out, honey. Most vinaigrettes will say sugar. I always add honey into my vinaigrettes because it keeps it nice and smooth. And you don't have that graininess from sugar. And then, and actually the honey also helps in the emulsification. So emulsification is bringing your oil and your acid together. So the honey helps to be that stabilizer too. Yeah. A little bit longer. Check it out.
By using honey, you get the little extra health benefits of the honey than you would if you would use sugar or another ingredient.
Yes. A lot healthier than that. All right. I mean, the easiest salad you could probably make.
Yeah. Yeah, the recipe looks like there's a lot of ingredients, and then I realized
Most of it
of
is
those
for the
were,
vinaigrette.
that's right, just for the vinaigrette.
If I was to plate this, this is how we do it. At a fancy restaurant, you'd get this plate in front of you and this salad costs you $13. And I would even add like some red onion, like some thin sliced red onion would be good in here too.
I'll say it looks colorful even from here with those red grapes and that gold beet color.
You're making a taco salad. Then you fold the green and eat it. Can you use the curly lettuce? It's like kind of red and green curly.
Yeah, that's the endive lettuce that I was talking about earlier.
I agree, and it is beautiful.
Oh, where's some more of my tear gun? 1 second, wait.
%50 of the points are on plating.
What is that you're putting?
Just a little piece of the tarragon just on top.
Edible flowers would be pretty there.
Yes, they would, Ann. This is where I need edible flowers. You are correct.
And some would have both the yellow and the red of the grape in them.
That is beautiful.
Sure is.
Yum.
So a different type of salad, and easy. I mean, you can't get any easier than that. If you haven't, I mean, the only thing that probably takes any extra effort is the vinaigrette. And as many times as we've done vinaigrettes, everybody should be pro. Yeah. So there's that. Let's check our peanut butter cups. See if they've solidified where we stand there. I just checked our chicken. The chicken is browning really nicely. The grapes have burst and they're starting to caramelize. So
Now the 400 degrees that you have that on, is that to help with the roasting? Because normally, you see chicken recipes 350 for 1 hour.
yes. I'll show you guys, this is where we are right now.
Oh yeah, it's coming along.
Yum.
I bet it
Wow.
smells delicious.
Getting there.
You don't turn it over, right? Just
No, you know, it's gonna cook all the way through. That's why by us doing that spatchcock, it's gonna cook evenly all the way through. You don't have to turn it over or anything. And you know what I would do? I would make a sauce for that. So if I had some extra grape jelly, I'd take some shallots, some garlic, and saute those down in the pan with just a little bit of butter, and then some red deglaze with some red wine. Add that grape jelly in there, let that simmer down, and you have a nice glaze or a nice sauce to go over it. Add some of the thyme and rosemary into that, let that sauce simmer. Oh.
Chef, you
Well,
might
can
have
you
to.
use can you do a gravy from the juice that came out from the oven?
Yeah, you can add that to it, but I think, like I said, taking some of those roasted grapes and maybe some jam or jelly, and red wine, you can't go wrong.
You might have to write a recipe card for us for that, chef.
Let's see here. Our little cups have solidified. Hello, little peanut butter cups.
Yes, and these would be a great afternoon pick me up because you have the protein from the peanut butter and a little, the fat from the peanut butter that'll carry you through.
Yep.
And the sweetness of the jelly. And I'm sure they're very low carb.
Yes. Because look at the ingredients. The peanut butter, the only ingredient in the peanut butter was peanuts.
Yes.
And we added a little coconut oil. And then the jelly is just the grapes, lemon juice, and a little sugar.
Wow.
So I know you said about a tablespoon of the peanut butter. Is it about a half a tablespoon of the jelly you're putting in?
Yes. Enough that you can, because you don't want to fill it too much up, and you kind of want more peanut butter than jelly, just a little layer of jelly, kind of that thin layer. And I just want to take this to kind of spread it, make sure it's evenly spread across the whole thing. Peanut butter. Peanut butter. First you take the peanuts and anybody remember that from elementary?
No.
Peanut butter jelly. I learned it in elementary school and how you make peanut butter and jelly. And it was first you take the peanuts and you crush them. And then when you got the jelly and yeah, I'm the only one. It's okay. Columbus Public Schools.
That had to have come after my time. That is not something that we did in my elementary school. So that must have been a newer wave of education.
Maybe it was just a Columbus Public School thing.
Maybe.
All right, so we got that. And now I'm going to take. We're going to take another spoonful of peanut butter, add to the top. See, so when you unwrap this, it's almost like a little surprise filling. And that's why it'd be cool if you wanted to, like a little treat, if you use different jams or so, preserves.
Well, that would be fun at a kid's birthday party.
They never know what they get, what they get until they bit into it.
Well, what kid doesn't like peanut butter and jelly? Besides an allergic kid.
Well, yes. But if you use, almond butter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of varieties out there. The sunflower, almond,
butter, yep.
cashew.
Has anybody tried? I have not personally tried sun butter yet.
I have.
And how is that? I've had cashew butter. I like cashew, but I'm partial because I love cashews. So.
Yeah, the sun butter was good. It was not the brand that I had wasn't quite as creamy as a natural peanut butter, but it did spread smoothly, and it had a light flavor to it, so it wasn't really heavy. Again, the camp that I used to go to, we had children with peanut allergies, and so we had alternatives.
We'll add this back to the freezer for another couple of minutes for it to set up and solidify. Oh. Perfect. Any questions about anything we've done tonight, from the chicken to the salad to our little peanut butter cups?
Why, the recipes are on the website. They are currently under today's session, under our virtual calendar. And then after today, they'll be moved to the recipe archive, which is under our programs and services tab. So they're definitely available to be downloaded. Oh, that looks gorgeous. And the wings didn't burn at all. I was afraid that, you know, with them being a little less meatier than everything else, it did get a little darker, but it looks like they really browned evenly across the entire chicken.
Yeah. So me
Did you-
personally, yeah.
Did you put it in the lowest level of the, or in the middle?
In the middle.
Really? And it's 400?
Yes.
Wow. And it didn't get burned though.
In the middle. Now I
We
would
can
keep
use,
it-
we can
And
use
so-
Cornish too, right?
Yeah, I think it would be great with the Cornish hen. And guess what? With the Cornish hen, you could do the same thing. You see how I broke and took that backbone out? Of course, they're a little bit easier because they're smaller, but I do that all the time when I cook Cornish hens. I spatchcock them so that they lay flat, and it's easier to cook them like that. But you could do the same thing with a Cornish hen. You know, if it's just one person in the house or even two people in the house, do a Cornish hen, spatchcock it, and then when you're ready, you can cut them right in half. And one person gets one half of the Cornish hen, the other person gets the other. Or maybe somebody's going to eat a whole Cornish hen. But you can do the same application with that. And then all that, those grapes that roasted, they're going to be nice and jammy and stuff like that. So you could definitely make a sauce with the, you know, with that. Put it in a blender. Take those roasted grapes, put them in the blender. That'd be the easiest thing because you realize you had the shallots in there, you had the thyme, all that roasting together. So if you take those jammy grapes and you can serve it with it and eat your chicken with that, or you can take those grapes, put them in your blender, add just a little bit of either chicken stock or a little red wine and blend that up, and you got a nice sauce.
Sounds
Serve it with some
delicious.
roasted cauliflower or cauliflower mash. I think it would be great.
Excellent. Definitely sounds delicious, Chef.
So, any other questions or so? 'Cause
It's
everything.
not, it's not a question, but just was asking you, have you ever tried deboning a whole chicken or a
Oh, yeah.
turkey or a duck or?
Yes, deboning a chicken, yes. And it starts with, just like I did then, taking that backbone out so you can lay it flat and then going under. And it's important to have a good deboning knife. So this nice, long, skinny knife with the tip on there. And it's usually really, really sharp because then it allows you, it has a little bit of flexibility to it. So it allows you to really get through, kind of get those bones, carve those bones out, pull those away. And then you're just left with just the meat.
Yummy.
So when you did the backbone, you cut right through the ribs then. So the rib cage is still in that chicken.
Right.
Right. Right.
And that's when you put your palm on the chicken breast there and push down to kind of spread those out.
Yeah.
Definitely a
Yeah.
technique I'm going to have to try.
Yeah, but take that that backbone right out. I mean, like I said, it doesn't take a whole lot. If you got a good knife, or even if you don't have a bony knife, if you have a really nice, sharp, what I call chef's knife, if you can easily just go right alongside between that backbone and those rib bones, because those rib bones they're brittle. They don't take a whole lot. You just take and cut right alongside of both sides of that backbone, and you pull that backbone right out, open up the whole bird. You could do that, put that on a grill too, you know, stick that whole thing on a grill. Great.
Well, Jason, if I would have not thrown the backbone, I could have made soup out of it.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't throw it. Yeah, that backbone, you don't throw it away. You take that backbone and any trimmings, and you make you a good stock. Some cold water, some extra carrot, celery, onions, and some of that thyme sprigs and stuff, and make you a good stock.
Right.
Would you put garlic in it?
Yeah. You just
That
let
would
it
be yummy.
simmer. You let it simmer, and then and that's going to give you a really nice stock.
Peppercorns.
Mhm. Make you a little sachet of like the thymes, peppercorns, any other type of things like of that nature, and let it just simmer. Like I've seen and done, 12, 18 hours. And then you skim the fat that's come to the top. You skim that all off so you can get the best that you can, consomme. You can get the best clear broth that you can.
Better than anything that you can buy out of a can or a box.
Yeah, right.
Healthier,
Mhm.
no additives.
Yeah.
Yep. That is true. Anything else? Any other questions? Anybody? Please, I hope everyone gets the opportunity to join starting next week, as Darlene mentioned about the series. We'll be starting on the second Thursday of the month through the rest of the year for the next 4 months, starting this month. The High on the Hog series, a really great conversation. That series on Netflix came about. There's actually a book written by Dr. Jessica Harris, who wrote this book years and years ago. I actually read the book. And so this film, High on the Hog, was really kind of bringing to life things that she discussed and talked about, as far as really bringing to light a lot of the influence of African cuisine on what we consider soul food or Southern cuisine, or how it's really influence a lot of other different cuisines in that sense. And so really great series, so much so, and they got a lot of feedback, evidently, that there is a season 2 that will be coming out. I'm not sure of the date, but it was very educational and inspirational for any and everyone, because you get to really learn kind of the origin of some certain ingredients, why certain ingredients are used the way they are, or other ways that they can be used. We talked about beginning, and you guys see that in the clip when we watch it next week, about yams and the difference between yams and sweet potatoes, because for years everybody's always just thought, oh, they're the same thing. But they're not. So it helps in the first clip we'll do next week. It'll show you, and you'll get to learn about that, okra, all those type of things that are indigenous to Africa. We'll watch the clip. We'll have a little mini discussion, and you guys will see me whip up one of those recipes or a dish that is inspired by one of those ingredients.
Well, awesome, Chef. We greatly appreciate you sharing your expertise with us tonight with these wonderful, tasty recipes that are available on our website. And we will look forward to seeing everybody back next week.
Yes. Thank everybody for joining and coming on tonight.